Hi guys, in this video we're going to look at Reaction Manager in 3D Studio Max and how it can be used in a really basic way just to create something a little bit like this. Okay, to start this we're going to need some Morph Targets already set up. So what I've got is, I'm just going to delete one of them. Okay, what I've got is just an eyeball separately and just a socket for that eyeball. Okay, it doesn't have to be high poly, in fact it's probably better if it's low. Okay, and I've set up some morph targets, so I've made a copy of this eyeball. I've made a copy of the eye as well, which you don't need, but it's really good for reference, so you're not getting any mesh going inside of the other mesh. And I've just made a looking right and left morph target, so I've just modelled it a little bit different, and then an up and down. Now I've not added any extra geometry, any extra edges, or I've taken any away, and that's really important because morph targets will not work like that. So then on the original, what I've got is some morphers, so I'm going to take that off. I'm just going to show you how to add this. So assuming this mesh, the socket, is exactly the same, and I should name all of these. If you have a look up here, I've got what they're called: right, left, up, down. Okay. On the original, we're just going to add a Morpher Modifier, and then in the stack, okay, which is here, I'm just going to right click on one. It says pick from scene. I'm just going to pick this one, and it says up. And if I do the spinner, you'll see what I get there. I'll do this one, down, right, and left. Okay, now I can hide them. I can get rid of them. We don't need them anymore. And we have got a blink there as well, which we might as well add just for later on in case we decide to do it. So it's a shut. So I'm going to hide that as well. So make it less complicated. I've just got a dummy that I set up before, and it's just a line to the eye. Nothing's actually doing anything with this dummy. And I've got this with lots of morphers. And if I spin the spinners, I'm obviously going to get these morph targets kick in. A nice little shot there. But we want to control these with this. Okay, but we want this to control the eye as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up a look at constraint. So I'm going to select the eyeball, go to animation constraints, and just go with a look at constraint. Kind of gives it away with the title. So look at constraint, and then I'm going to point it to the dummy. And if you've created the eyeball in a different place, different orientation, it's going to spin back to its original, which is fine. We can just say keep initial offset and then find the axis that is better for this. Let's try none of them. What about here? There we go. Okay. And when you move the dummy, you should get something like this. And that's what we want. Now the first thing I'm going to do here is going to go Alt right click on the dummy. I'm just going to freeze the transform. I'm going to freeze rotation as well. And what that does is it just gives me an extra frozen transform coordinate that I can refer back to. So I'll give you an example. If I have lost my rig somewhere up here and even rotated, and I can't get it back, what I can do is just Alt right click and just transform to 0. And it's going to go back to where I had it. Now this will be linked to a head bone or something along with the eye socket. But we haven't got one of them, so we'll just continue with this. Now what I want, essentially all I'm saying is when this dummy moves up and down, I want it to control the morph targets that are on this socket. And when the dummy moves left and right, I want it to control the morph targets on this socket. So up and down, left and right is of course Z and X or Y depending on what angle you're in. I'm actually in the side angle. I've created this in the wrong viewport. So I'm going to use the Y for the left and right and the Z for the up and down. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a tool called Reaction Manager. And when you open a Reaction Manager and there's loads of stuff in there, it can look a little bit complicated. But there's a very, very easy step-by-step way of doing this. So we're going to have a look at that. We're going to Reaction Manager, open this up, and this is what you'll get. And basically it's saying this first white box is your reactions, and these are your states. Okay, so these are the drivers and the controllers, okay, of what's going to be affected and what's going to affect, and then these are the different states of what it's affecting. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, you're going to have these 4 buttons at the top. The first one is the important one for the first one. We're going to say add a driver. So basically I'm adding what is going to be the controller. So add, and I want it to be the dummy. Now I'm going to do the up and down, which I know is the Z. So I'm going to go into transform, and you'll see the frozen position there, the frozen transform. We're just going to go into 0 position, position 0 position, and I'm going to pick the Z, and it's going to add the Z axis. Now that's up and down. Okay, so we're going to have to set the state. So I'm going to say, well, what do I want it to control? So the next button, I'm going to hit that and hit the eye socket, and you're going to see it's got the transforms on, but we're not affecting a transform. We want to affect a modified object and a morpher. And you'll see the morpher there, and you'll see all the morph targets. Now I'm going to do the up one first, so I'm going to look for up. Okay, and what you'll see is it'll make a state. So that's a default state at 0, 0, 0. That's what we want. First thing I'm going to do is going to hit create mode. I'm going to take the dummy, and I'm just going to move it up to round about there. I'm just going to guess at the minute. Okay, and when I'm happy with that, I'm just going to hit create state, and that's going to create a new state. Now with that created, I can see that I've moved the dummy up 53 units. Okay, and the eye up morph target is at 0 value. So with create mode on, I'm just going to set that to 100 because I want the morph target to be 100. And I'll round this up, I'll say 60. Now nothing's going to happen until I come out of create mode. So as soon as I come out of create mode, you can see that morpher kick in there. Okay, so this is what I've got. So when I move it up, that's what I want. So I'm going to alt right click and just transform to 0 just to get back to where I was. Now on the down Z position, I don't have to add another driver because I've already got it there, the Z position, but I do need to add another morph target. So I'm going to hit add reaction driver again, and I'm going to find that morph target, the down one. Okay, and you can see it's set a state there. The dummy is 0, the down morph target is 0, so we're going to go into create mode. I'm going to drag this down to where I'm guessing it's going to look alright. I'm just going to hit create state. Now sometimes it does create 2 states in here. I'm not sure why it does this, but just ignore this one. It doesn't matter. I think it's created one for the up as well. We can get rid of that up one. We just focus on the lowest one. So it's created the down state, and you can see it's at 0. And this is at -54. So I'm going to say that's the dummy. Say -60. So it's equal with the other one. And I'm going to say 100% morph target. Come out of that, and this is what I get. Okay, so now it's quite a nice little squidgy thing. Okay, now that extra state in state 4, the up state that it's created, we can get rid of that. It doesn't matter. And there we go. We've got our up and down. Now we haven't got a left and right, and that would go really nice. So I'm going to transform to 0 on the dummy. Now obviously we're adding a completely different driver. It's not the Z position. We've done the Z position. So I'm going to add a new driver, which is the Y. Now in yours it'll probably be the X because you've probably made it in the correct viewport. Well, I haven't. So mine's going to be the Y. So I'm going to say add a reaction driver. Pick the dummy, transform, position, and I want the 0 position, and I want the Y position. Okay, so it creates a new set of states, which is blank, and a new position. So we can say, right, okay, I want to add a driver, not a driver, and I'm going to find the morph target. Now I'm going to go with the right one first. So again, just like the up and down, it's set a 0 state. Now I'm not sure if I've set these morph targets up right and named them right, but I'm going to have a go. I mean, I always get the left and right mixed up. I always forget which mode I'm in. Either the eyeball's right or my right looking at it. So I'm going to say, I'm going to come this way, I'm going to guess. So I'm going to go straight into create mode. I'm going to go with round about there. You're just using your best guess looking at the eyeball. I'm going to go create state, That's minus 60. Look at that, it's a good guess. So I'm just going to say minus 60, just so it's nice and rounded. I'm going to say 100% for the morph target and come out of create mode. Ah, it is the right one. Brilliant. Okay. So that's set up. I'm going to go transform to 0. And once you get into this kind of workflow, it's pretty easy to remember. Now, I don't need a new Y position driver, okay, but I do need a reaction, which is the other morph target, which is the left. So I'm going to go add a new reaction driver and add the left one. Now the left one's going to give me this 0 state again, so I'm going to go into create mode. I'm going to add a left. Okay. And I'm going to go create state. And again, it's done that double one. Again, I'm just going to get rid of that one. Don't need it. So this is done 76. I did think that I moved it a little bit more. So I'm going to go 60. So it's all square. And I'm going to go 100% on the morph target. I'm going to come out of create mode. And there we go. Transform that to 0. Now what you should have is this, which is a Fleshy Eye Rig, which is pretty cool. And once they're all kind of working, it's a little bit freaky and it's a little bit cool, but it just shows you the power of Reaction Manager and how it can be utilized. Now I'm going to just add a little bit more on here. You remember, if you click on your eyeball now, you can't spin these morph targets because they're being controlled by something else. But you can do the shut one because it's not being controlled. Now I want that to be controlled by something. I'm just going to be a little bit daring. I don't usually stack different controllers on different transforms. But I'm going to have the rotation of this control the blink. Okay, so I'm going to go with the Y rotation. So maybe that. I'm going to put my snap on because I'm going to do it 90 degrees. So again, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go into add reaction driver. And this time I'm going to go with rotation. I'm going to go Y rotation. So it's going to give me a blank slate. I'm going to go into create mode. Oh, I've missed a step. See how easy you can miss a step. I'm going to add the actual morph target to this first. So reaction driver. And then Morpher shut is the one I want. So there we go. I realised that when it hadn't created a state. So it will create a state when you add the Morpher, so it will kind of remind you. So mine's at 0, 0, so I'm going to go into create mode. Make sure my snap is on. I'm just going to go about 90 degrees in like that. I'm going to create state. 90 degrees, yeah, brilliant. And then 100% on the target. And there we go. So that's pretty cool. So if I transform that to 0, and give this a little bit of an animation. Now, I'm not sure the rotation will work here because, you know, why would it? Let's have that look up, and then look down, and then maybe stay there for a little minute, and then look that way, maybe stay there for a second, and look back up there, stay there for a little bit, and then come back to transform to 0 there. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. It's not a very good animation. And then we'll have a nice little blink. So we can go, I'm going to start some different keyframes here, so just so I can grab all of the keyframes. So I'm going to go 90 degrees there. Just going to copy. Obviously, I want so I'm looking for 3 frames, one open, one shut, one open. That's a little bit fast, so I'm going to stretch that out a little bit. There we go, that's nice. So then I can copy these along and just put them in random places. I'll put one at the end as well. Put one there. There we go. Okay, that's a little bit freaky, but it highlights the use of Reaction Manager and controllers, and you can just think of the possibilities that you can do with this. So remember the steps, and good luck.